you shortly. Let me go to Ibrahim Alege, who is standing by as well. Ibrahim, from where you are, you know, in a build-up to this election, there were lots of debate around insecurity and violence and all of that. But from what you saw today play out through the process, how peaceful was the process from what you saw?
Now, let me tell you about my location. This is Shekona Ede, and it's along Ife Road. Behind me, that's the road that leads to Ife, and you can see that the road is virtually empty. Everything is going on smoothly, apart from the security operatives who are at different polling units. At least you have 3 or 4 at each of the polling units. You still have security operatives parading, you know, the streets of Ile-Ife, because I actually covered Ile-Ife. And, you know, there was no any kind of insecurity, you know, around the area, because the security operatives were actually on top of the situation. In fact, when we were going, we saw military operatives, lot of roadblocks. You cannot just pass them just anyhow without being properly identified. And apart from these, they make sure that they also parade most of these polling units from one polling unit to the other in order to ensure that there are no issues. Definitely during ballot sorting and counting, of course, there are tension here and there because, you know, because of valid and invalid votes, void votes, you know, party agents had to argue it out, but security operatives were also there to check them so that there is no violence, you know, within the voting area. And the people, I must say that they've equally conducted themselves very well. Of course, you cannot but have some people who would try to kind of you know, hype the tension, but then the security operatives were able to, you know, man the situation and ensure that everything went on smoothly. So all the polling units that are covered today, we didn't record any incidents of violence or whatever.
It's interesting. We understand, at least from the numbers that were given out earlier, we understand that 21,000 security agents were deployed for this election in Ekiti State. Now, let's talk about the turnout of voters where you monitored, because we recorded, from the records and from the data we saw, there's an increased turnout of voters in Osun State for this election comparative to other ones and the previous ones. Now, what did you see where you was there a massive turnout as well in the polling units that you saw, that you visited?
Yes, I think kudos must be given to INEC for extending the date for collection of PVCs. I think it was extended up till, you know, last Thursday in order to give people the opportunity to, you know, obtain their PVC. And when I spoke with the REC on Thursday, he said as at that time, you know, more than 1.5 million voters had collected their PVC. So when now compared to what happened last year, we didn't have up to that. But it's one thing to collect PVC, it's another thing for people to turn out for the election. Of course, so many people came out today, but what I observe is that you know, during the sorting of the ballots, there are a lot of ballot papers that were cancelled because people did not make use of it. Of course, after exhausting the number of people on the line, the remaining ballot papers, there were so many that they had to cancel. But that notwithstanding, when you compare it to the previous elections, I think we had a lot of people that turned out for these particular election. And let me lend credence to what Demola said earlier about old people, you know, coming out for this particular election. Earlier on, I reported about a man who is actually more than 100 years of age, who, you know, came out at More, you know, polling unit to cast his vote. When I interviewed him, asked him about his age, he could not say specifically how old he is. He only told me that the way he could count is that he has outlived 4 Oni of Ife. This is the 5th. And recall that the last Oni spent 35 years on the throne. You know, down the line, you know that this man is actually more than 100 years of age. So if somebody of more than 100 years of age could come for the election, that shows you the kind of enthusiasm that the people of Osun State, you know, have for this particular election. They have to provide a chair for him in order for him to sit down because of, you know, his failing health. And of course, after like 2 or 3 persons, he also went to cast his vote, but he had to leave because of his failing health. But you know, that shows the enthusiasm in him for him to be more than 100 years and also come out, you know, to cast his vote. And it's not only him, we had a lot of them like that. So, and again, during the sorting and counting of the ballots, it rained in Ile-Ife, and majority of the people did not go home. They just had to hang around. Even some had to occupy the tent by the INEC, in order for them to witness, the sorting and counting of the ballot paper. So the enthusiasm is there. People came out, but at the end of the day, we expect that INEC will give out the figure of those who actually vote, so we can now compare and contrast with what we had the last time.
All right. Thank you, Ibrahim. But let me put you on hold and go back to Demola Lawrence, who is monitoring the elections there. Now, Demola, let me come back to you on the issue of people with disability. Now, ad hoc, INEC had prepared a room or created room for people with disability to be involved in ad hoc activities this time around. Did you see any from what you monitored and where you went? I guess we lost the signal from where Demola Lawrence has been. Ibrahim, let me come back to you if you're still there. Now, we have the governor of the state who is a candidate. When he was speaking earlier on, he talked about the insufficiency of the BVAS machines. We spoke to Femi Akonde earlier, who also let us know that in a polling unit where you have close to more than 1,000 voters having just about 2 BVAS machines. What did you monitor where you went and what you have seen so far? How sufficient or adequate or inadequate are the BVAS machines?
Well, where I monitored it was adequate. The only concern was that at some point it did not recognize the fingerprints of some prospective voters. But at the end of the day, an alternative was made. They had to capture them, and of course, they were able to cast their votes. But the bottom line is that it actually slowed down the process. But at the end of the day, where I monitored, all of them, actually cast their votes. But then such a situation could lead to tension, because some people will feel that they were being deliberately disenfranchised. But it's a machine, anything can happen. But at the end of the day, the arrangements was at the end of the day perfect, because there was alternative arrangement. So there was no issue about the inadequacy of the machine, but the non-recognition of some of the fingerprints. But at the end of the day, they were able to work around it.
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim. I'll come back to you. I understand Demola Lawrence is back now. Demola, your signals went off earlier, but I understand you're on now. I was asking earlier, the INEC has made provisions for people with disability to be involved at ad hoc level for this election in Osun State. From where you monitor, did you see any of the PWDs, as ad hoc staff?
Okay, from where I monitored from, in Iliogo and Iliogo, I didn't see any. Maybe some other areas might have happened, but from where I covered here in Iliogo and Iliogo, there was none that I saw. The only thing I saw there was part of persons with disability, voters themselves who are persons with disability, only came to the polling booth to perform the significant activities.
Okay, and this is quite interesting that formally and officially INEC has created room for that, and we see a lot of people have said, commended INEC in that regard, and looking forward to improving on that and then spreading it to be a national issue. But let's talk about the turnout of women and their involvement in this process. What do you see when it comes to the turnout of women to vote and being involved in the process as either ad hoc staff or any other way?
The turnout of women has been very massive, I must say. From the young to the old, it has been very massive. And you want to also give women kudos, because when it comes to elections, you always see them being at the forefront. They are always the one at the forefront. Now, no disrespect to men, the young and the old. Women are always the one at the forefront. Even at the aged ones, you see the women are at the forefront. So it has been a very large turnout in that regard. And why? Because at the end of the day, they are also most of the people that you see around that people stay to monitor the electoral process. But in this my following minutes, my cameraman can just see, not many of them. When I came in the morning, there were many of them women, but now you can see that it's youth that you're seeing, and some men that are here monitoring the process. Everyone is waiting patiently. Votes are being counted by the different by the ad hoc staff of INEC, and of course, so they're looking forward to what the numbers of the different candidates that they have supported, and of course, the ad hoc staff, women has been play a pivotal role. You can see that two women here was doing the job for INEC, and they have been doing amalgam. Commend them, while it was raining, they made sure that they were inside the rain, trying to make sure that everybody is gathered together despite the rain and get people voting.
Okay, thank you very much, Demola Lawrence. Thank you also, Ibrahim Alege, for bringing us up to speed. We'll certainly come back to all of you again much later on. Thank you very much. It's been for election monitoring and reporting, since morning. And some of them have been out since about 5 a.m., monitoring the process and all of that. Now, there was a question earlier that I wanted to ask. If you see, someone was saying that every administration is an experiment of how you could improve on the other one, but sometimes you don't even know how these things are going to turn out and all of that. But Osun State have had 4 governors so far. And as it is, how would you just oppose that development, that build-up to the level of development, the level of sophistication that Osun State is right now, with all the resources?
Right. If you ask me to situate our experience from 1999 to 2022 in terms of what we have experienced politically, and situate that with 1979 to 1983, because I did some course. I took some courses in pol science while I was studying in UNILAG. I did comparative public administration, and we were taught by Professor Kuka that if you want to make sense of public administration, if you want to make science out of it, you compare two administration. That's how you make. Mike, I'm coming. So you make sense. So if you situate what we have in, I will tell you that the class of 79 to 83 is better than the class of 1999 to
wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you for a fact across board. Look at all the legacy projects. Let's begin to talk about legacy projects. In legacy projects first, and then let's talk about investment. I am a product of the 79, 83 democratic experience. And I can tell you for a fact what it was then and what it is now. If you ask some of us, which is sad to make a comment, if you had not tried democracy in 1999, if you had been under military regime, we would have said that if you had tried democracy would have been better off than what? Because you look at it in terms of the resources we vote for election. Just look at the votes for INEC. If you look at the wastages that has gone into public governance in terms of the number of aides that elected officials appoint, and the revenue that has gone and resources that have been allocated, we don't really have too much to show for it. And that's why you will see that there is a high degree of enthusiasm from people that have never voted before in Nigeria, people that are first-time voters, and people that have been passive about the political process, being interested in what happened in the political. A lot of stake is involved moving towards 2023 election. From the list, which you see, I have said this, and that's just the reality. It's the same cycle from the Osun State. all of those people that are contesting the election have been in the same party at one point or the other in time. All of them. At the point, Oyinlola was in APC, at the formative stage of APC. Okay, Bisi Akande to Oyinlola, Oyinlola to Aregbesola, Aregbesola to Oyetola, Oyetola to Oyetola now.
We don't know anybody.
We don't know. Oyetola to the next. Whoever wins the election will be whose name is there. It's around the same political class, and that is why the 2023 election will be a watershed election in the history of Nigerian election, because we see the alignment of forces and we see massive turnout of voters, which invariably will upset the political calculation of the establishment. In every political system, you have the establishment, and part of the establishment in any political system, you have the structured political party, political elites, and then the military. Now, when the two of them together, you have the same system maintaining itself. But when there is disagreement between you, even in developed democracy, even in developed democracy of America, for example, let me use the American case for example. The establishment in America and the military, which is called the military industrial complex, if you understand international politics, were totally against Donald Trump. That's why he lost the election. That's why he lost the 2020 election. Because the military industrial complex are much more interested in fighting wars, selling arms, selling this, while he was busy pulling back resources back home, withdrawing from war. So it's the same thing in Nigeria. You have that military industrial complex in Nigeria and the political elite. Now, if there's, and we are praying that there should be disagreement. Once there's a disagreement amongst them, then the people's will usually prevail.
That is what usually brings the paradigm shift that we often talk about. Because the moment the establishment, anything happens in such a way that the establishment
cannot agree.
Exactly, they can't agree and they cannot influence and guide how it goes, then it becomes an issue in there. Now, these are some candidates of the political party. Of course, we will wait to talk about all of that as we go subsequently. Now, we have a break to go to right now, and then my producer said we have to go on a break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us on in the Osun Governorship Election. We are monitoring what's going on. Stay with us on the break.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. You're watching ShopX TV, home to some of the most popular international brands in Africa, including Papa Chef, MyFit Jeans, Genie Bra, the Power XL Air Fryer, the NutriBullet, and more. ShopX TV has brought you the latest innovations in lifestyle, fitness, and cooking from across the globe. And now, we are happy to bring you the Papa Chef XL Collection. Each pan in the Papa Chef XL Collection features Papa Chef's innovative stainless steel induction plate that heats food quickly and evenly with no hot spots, making it perfect for any surface, electric, gas, production. And because you are cooking with ceramic non-stick, you don't have to add all that extra fat and butter. Our Copper Chef pans are also heat-proof, up to 850 degrees. Incredible! Now, you can prepare, cook, and serve a wide variety of meals for your family and guests with the Copper Chef XL Collection.
What I love about the Copper Chef pan is that it's quite multi-purpose. You can use it on your induction hob, you can use it to boil, to fry, to bake, and to braise. The Copper Chef is amazing.
Copper Chef is the only pan I use in my kitchen. I love it.
With over 1 million units sold worldwide, Copper Chef is taking the cooking industry by storm, and it's only available exclusively at ShopX TV. You could be paying over 500,000 naira for a collection of pans that are not even non-stick. But call the number on your screen now and get the Copper Chef XL collection for not 300,000 naira, not even 200,000 naira, but just 159,950 naira. This incredible ShopX TV offer includes the amazing wonder cooker, 2 extra large pans, 2 XL frying pan, 4 tempered glass lids, 2 extra large deep fry baskets, 2 wonder cooker deep fry baskets, 2 steam racks, the amazing Copper Chef crisper basket, and the award-winning Eric Thesis recipe. This incredible offer also includes free delivery to all locations in Nigeria. And that's still not all. Because Copper Chef is of such great quality, we are including a 30-day money-back guarantee. If it pills or blisters, send it back for a full refund. But hurry, the exclusive ShopX TV offer is for a limited period. So call now while stock lasts. The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
You're watching TVC, and in the studio is the Osun Decide studio, where we're bringing you live updates from Osun State, where residents are casting their votes. Some have done that, and they've all, some have gone back, and other places the vote counting is ongoing. But we still have some few units where the voting is still taking place. We have correspondents scattered across the states, and they're bringing us up to speed with developments across the states as well. And we've spoken to some of them, and we'll keep speaking to some of them. But in the studio, we've been analyzing and making sense of some of this development of from the election. Dr. Jide Johnson has been with us here, and we've been doing all of this. Now, Dr. Johnson, sorry, let's talk about the issue of improvements in the voting process and the election process. Now, in this country, there's a large chunk of people who don't vote, journalists, because on election day, they're all busy. The military or security agents, the police and all of that, on election day, a lot of them are busy. So medical workers are on essential duty on those days and are busy. We see in several other elections across, and then diaspora. Those in diaspora are also people who are very interested, potential people who can add, a lot to the voting process, but don't because of, maybe legal issues or the Electoral Act and all of that. What should INEC be doing to ensure that there's a lot of inclusivity and getting people involved in the process? In South Africa, for instance, everybody wouldn't vote. It's not just one day for election. It's spread across certain days where there is early voting. In India, voting takes place for more than a week. So what do you make of it?
I think that it should be next issue before the 10th National Assembly. If you don't participate in the process, you don't know how painful it is when your vote does not count. And you have critical stakeholders not participating in the process, but just observing the process. Journalists, people, police and the rest of them. And I think that it's time for us to have early voting for people in that category. That if you're a journalist, if you are this, if you are that, okay, you could cast your vote and cast your vote before you go for your assignment, because like you pointed out, journalists have lost the right to complain about the process if you don't vote in the election.
Exactly.
Because you assume that these are rational, right-thinking members of this enlightened, let me put it, enlightened segment of the society. If you serve in the military, for example, that's the greatest service you could do for your country anywhere in the world. The servicemen, if you want to fly, they give servicemen priorities for them to board the aircraft, whether they are in first class or third class or economy. They just said first class, and then military men and the rest of it,
veterans,
and then you bought the flight, and this. So we need to have that, and I think that should be the advocacy for the review of the electoral act. And then I've also advocated that we don't need to do election on Saturday alone. Why can't we have our election on working days, and we declare a work-free day? Say, for example, okay, you can go and cast your vote over a period of 2 days, today, tomorrow, and then by the third day we get the result of the election, or we do the mail-in ballot. If you are a journalist, if you are a military person, you write and request for a ballot to be sent to you, and then you mail your ballot to
now the postal service that will draw attention to the postal service.
Look, we have logistics company in Nigeria, and then until you try Nigerian postal services, you never know that they are still existing. It's still functional. In actual sense, some of the deliveries that some logistic company make, they still route it through the Nigerian postal services. It's just because they are not within the visibility and consciousness of an African. Until you go to the post office, many people still think that the post office are not functioning. They are still functioning. They are still functioning. It's just that we don't have enough visibility. So this particular segment of the population is very, very important. For me, Mike, as a citizen, you can't. If you want to invite me to programs on election day, I will tell you, I will not come to that program until I cast my vote. I voted in every election since 1987. Every. The local government election in 1987 to kickstart Babangida's experiment, which was a zero-party local government election. I voted since then. To every election. Because it's my civic right. I have lost every right. I've said it. You have lost every right to complain about the outcome of public governance if you don't participate in the political process. If you don't participate, you have lost your right to complain. But if you actually participate in the process, you have every right to complain about the process. So it's important for this critical sector, this critical segment of the population to be accommodated in the voting process. And our election should be like a working day, and that working day will declare a holiday for people to go and cast.
But isn't that the issue of declaring a public holiday where people should sit at home? Isn't that what they want to avoid? Why they shift it to Saturday, where naturally everyone should have been at home?
I'll tell you, Mike, the election holding in Nigeria on Saturday has a lot of implications.
Okay.
It has a lot of dimension. A lot of dimension to determine the outcome of the election. I tell you, Mike, the direction, the instruction on how to vote in some certain segment in some certain section of this country are given on Friday. The instruction on who to vote for and how to vote on Saturday election are given on Friday.
That's the night to the election,
and it's critical. And it's part of the hegemonic control over the Nigerian political system.
But even in that case, if we're going to have the let's say we're voting on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and it's a work day, by Monday night, wouldn't those decisions also be made?
You can't have a convergence that you have the day before the election on that particular day. On Tuesday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, you can't have that convergence. You can't have
because people are working.
Yeah, you can't have that convergence. You can only have that convergence a day before the actual election. You can have that convergence.
Well, it's quite interesting to know. Voting, like for instance, like journalists who are involved in the process for a long time. On election days are days that all journalists are so busy. For instance, I have not been involved since 2007 because every single election we are always either on air or we're monitoring or we're reporting, and so on. And imagine people not being involved in the process. You're monitoring, you're available, but you have a duty and you can't be involved. Anyway, so that takes us to that. But let's talk about the issue of population. Now, when we talk about governance and we talk about infrastructure, we talk about all of the policies, some of them failing, some of them not working, and then you make comparison with the Second Republic and what we have now, how effective the governance was in the Second Republic and the pressure now. What is the role of population in all of this? Because if you put the population together, that time and now, of course, we have it more now than it was at that time.
Mike, then we have structure.
Okay.
We have institution. The parties were bigger than individual. The parties were bigger than individual. The parties had ideologies, they had philosophy, they had manifestos. Now, personalities are bigger than the institution of the party. So when you talk, UPN does not revolve around Chief Obafemi Awolowo. NPN does not revolve around Shehu Shagari. There are other power blocks in NPN then. When Chief Adisa Meredith Akinloye, the national chairman, when he talks, everybody listens. As the national chairman of the party. And NPP does not revolve around Nnamdi Azikiwe, nor PRP revolves around Aminu Kano, nor GNPP that broke away from NPP.
Yeah, I think Waziri
Ibrahim revolves around Waziri Ibrahim. So you have strong structure, strong party system, strong institution, strong mechanism, strong internal democracy and internal control within the party. Those systems are non-existent. Then power comes from the grassroots. It is not the national chairman that will determine who is the House of Rep member. It is the people in their various constituencies. The structure we have for the party system now is unitary in nature, not federal in structure. Unitary in the sense that it is the national chairman and the national secretary that send the list. Why should it be the right of the national chairman to send the list of House of Assembly member for my state or for my state House of Assembly? It should be the state chairman. In actual sense, it should be within the purview of the local government chairman of that local government where that constituency is to forward the list. So that's when people talk about restructuring. And the basis of public governance is the party system. And we have a 40-party system structure. There is not until we restructure the party system and we allow the people at the base of the political system to have a say in the process of choosing who will represent them and having power and control over that system, we will still be faced with the challenges we are facing. So that's the difference between 1979 and 1999 today. And that's why you see, after people leave office, they are of no significance. They have no relevance. Again, they are no significance. The moment the governor serves his term, because he uses, we have replaced the party power and mechanism with state resources. Now we say the governor is the leader of the party. We say the president. It is not done. The president is the leader of the party. No, he was a nominee.
Because the highest serving political officer of the party becomes the leader of the party.
No, that's not the way it is. There is an existing structure before you seek to contest under that platform. When it comes to governance, you are the leader of government. But when it comes to party, we have it. You see, we have seen the images are there for people to go. Where are the Akinloye? It's only in UPN that you had Chief Awolowo as leader of the party and the president. Where are the Akinloye? We run meeting and President Shehu Shagari. We sit on it. Can we have that kind of structure again? Or where the governors will be calling? So we need to go back to that basis. We need to return power back to the people. Because we say democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But the kind of structure we have is too elitist in the nation. And you see, it is built on nothing. And that's why, ask, who was the first governor of Imo State? Where is it today? the first governor of Anambra State, the first governor, once they leave that power, because the structure, they use state resources, state instrument to create a pseudo structure. So we have a pseudo political system, and that's why we are facing the challenges which we are facing. And that's why you see,
and any little pressure, everything seemed to be shaking or even scattering.
Everything was scattered. You see, now, Mike, let me put it across to you. If not for Electoral Act of 2022, you know the way the primaries have always been. We even seen attempt by various political parties to substitute names, with INEC vehemently resisting attempt by the political class to manipulate the process, because the ultimate. Why do people keep talking about June 12? Why were people passionate? Why did people go out and vote? June 12 was based when one of the good things of Babangida administration was the establishment of those two political parties. And I asked everybody on A4, I asked first and foremost, go and join, identify with any of the political party. A little to the left, a little to the right. NRC was a little to the right, SDP was a little. So join, everybody join as all joiners. Then the primaries were done at various levels to elect delegates that would do the ward election, local government election, and then national. It was called option A4 because before you contest national election, you must first succeed at your ward, which is the smallest political unit where you elect a councillor.
So you must have been popular
within your ward. Within your ward. Then you go to the second level. You go to, there were about 8 of those options that Professor Osun they brought about around that time. Now, before option A4 was set for. Then the second level is that your local government. If you succeed in Ward 1 and I succeed in Ward 2, another people succeed. All the 10 of us will go to the local government. Now, from that level, we slug it and they will select one person from the 10 of us. Now, if I'm not popular at local government, you are the most popular person, you represent our local government. If there are 20 local governments like you have in Lagos State, once you get to the state level, there are both 20 candidates at the state level. They will slug it out and the state will nominate one person. And that one person will be the one that will go to the national to contest for the presidential ticket of the party. That was what I'm saying for us. So you must test your popularity first at your local level. There are a lot of people that are in public office today. They can't go back to their community. They are not popular. All they need to do is to know somebody upstairs. And once they do, their name will be superimposed. That's not what built our system. What built our politics was, you are popular, we said all politics is okay. You are popular in your community, people know you in your community, and then the establishment, the political class will say, okay, we have heard about somebody, this is the person that can best represent the people.
All right, as we round off now this whole discussion, of course, we can't do without projecting into the future from what we are seeing so far and all of the data, statistics, and evidence, and everything we're putting together, all the experience, to see how we're projecting into the future, if we're making the right step or taking the right steps, or we should avoid this or avoid that and all of that. What do you think we should be looking at going forward into, in fact, it's a good thing, like you said earlier, that some of this off-season election are good ground for experiments to test some few things. If they work, or it doesn't work, you know how to prepare against the next general election. What are those things that INEC on one hand, that is the umpire, should be looking at, and then even the people?
Whoever wins the presidential election in 2023 needs to have Nigerians to come down, sit down, and talk about where we want this nation to go. I'll give you an example. Osun State, look at the total number of voters in Osun State. 1 million, less than 2 million people. They have 30 local government. And my state, Lagos State, has more than 6 million voters registered. And yet, it has 20 local government. And if you want to do sharing of resources, we share it on the basis of local government. So my state, Lagos, is shortchanged. And it applies to many other states like that.
And mind you, the large population, like the 6 million people you're talking about, they are not all indigenes from within Lagos State. They came from all over. So if you're serving those people, by implication, you're serving the entire nation.
The entire nation. So you see, so these are conversations that we need to have. Now, if you put it in perspective, Lagos and Kano has 24 House of Rep members, and Kano has 44 local government. Should we do local government on the basis of federal constituency moving forward? That should we do it on the basis of federal constituency, or should we do it on the basis of population? Whichever way you look at it, there are some states that have been changed in this process. Okay. And I think that these are some of the issues we're looking forward to. With respect to INEC, I think that INEC needs to understand electronic gadgets can disappoint you. You must always have a backup.
Great. And a good place to leave it now. Thank you so much, Dr. G.J. Johnson. Thank you for all of the insight into all of this.
It's a pleasure to always exactly senior uncle.
Thank you. We couldn't have Carla Johnson join us as we expected him earlier. And of course, we've come to the end of the analysis today. The process is still ongoing, and all our resource persons are still on ground here and there. We'll bring them at the course of the bulletins going forward. Our reporters are still on ground across the entire state, bringing you up to speed with all the development. But thank you very much for watching the analysis today. Of course, stay tuned for all of the bulletins for updates from Osun State. Have a great day ahead. I am Mike Okwache. Bye now.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers mean something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of Main Street is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
On the 13th of December 2006, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Human Rights Treaty of the 21st century. Nigeria was among the bunch of African countries that signed up in agreement. And in 2008, Nigeria also ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which forbids their marginalization by governments, institutions, and individuals. This is to ensure their inclusion in all development plans and access to services. Despite these ratification of treaties, people with disabilities in the country are still complaining.
The security man told me to go upstairs. When I got to the stairs, I counted the stairs because I had 100 or 19. I was like, how do you expect me, persons with disability, physical disability, to climb such large of stairs? The man was just like, madam, if you know if you climb back, just go. Truly, yes, I did, but even under the AC, I was sweating.
The Nigerian Association of the Blind is displeased with the marginalization of its members from the use of banking services in the country. The association says its members have been exposed to fraudsters at ATM points while seeking assistance because the machines are not programmed to serve the visually impaired.
He asked accessibility shops to put it into it so that it's like what they are, he talks to me. But they didn't bring me intentionally in some part of most banks in Nigeria, they accepted it. So I get to the bank, I look like a dummy.
The Association of the Blind as well as other persons living with disabilities also speak of disturbing circumstances, making daily living burdensome to them.
I had an unpleasant experience going to one of the financial institutions in Nigeria, and upon getting to the gate, I noticed
aside to there are other underlying issues that require accountability and responsibility. That in a daily stream, much is expected, and as it is, Nigeria is okay on what they want and what they do not want. They're excited on the catch-up show and
to block me. This is not your father's house.
Exactly saying this to Nigerian youths are leading a peaceful protest against brutality and what they want and they do. They are tired and they really want to change this time around.
Walked in with my guide.
Protests are being led in different parts of the country, and in the process, lives are lost. Some came up to tell their story. Some were brutally injured, but a large number are in the court saying that they came here. But apparently now, only then will they be heard and attended to by the United Nations. I mean, it's actually a good thing that all solidarity thing is actually making a move. We need to commend Nigerian celebrities and other Nigerians that have been of the protest, all this Ajiwaya and solidarity thing. I mean, it's actually not easy for the boldness and for the courage. Of course, the keypad warriors too that are pushing the protest, pushing the trend. As it is no longer a trend anymore, it's even a movement because international forces have joined forces with Nigerian youth to clamor for the NSAS, end and reform Nigeria in general. The personality of Fowls actually caught our attention as, you know, the guy is actually a musician and a India.
Something happened for Lagos, for Suru, potato.
But who would have thought that Fowls could switch personality in a split of seconds? But then he dishing out some constitutional information for Nigerian youth, for them to know what Nigeria stands for and what Nigeria do not stand for. It's actually a good thing. I mean, at times just need to be knowledgeable about what we are doing and what we are fighting for. It's actually a good thing. But then Nigerian youths are actually what do you know Malaya was trying to say that he's already in support of all of these things. Fowls gave him one bath that he should not even pretend as if he is in this with them. But it's a good thing to know also that Nigerians have been putting together financially right now to take control and to feed Nigerian protesters so that people protesting, I mean, we see food, water, drinks flying all around protest ground. It's a good thing. And then not only that they contributed, but they are accountable for every penny spent so far in the protest. Even if Nigerian youths, they lead this country without a leader, we will still survive. 10 days so far.
Why not give us food more, cook ourselves?
Not to any anonymous that has been giving us insight into Nigerian political personnel and their atrocities. This one in particular is mouth-filling.
Perspective of tribe, race, heartening that you won't bring to justice every police who have involved in killing of the protesters due to the deep secret that caused the loyalties that lies between you and the people in your government.
But then it is good to see that Nigerian youth want to score us okay, and they are not disguising anymore, to see what solidarity and togetherness can actually do and achieve in our country. It's actually a good thing. But you all know it's excitement one day on the catch-up show, and we go on the street of Lagos to see what people have to say about issues in their society, in their community, and Nigeria at large. Do come with me. What's your name, sir?
My name is pharmacist Osun Governorship Election.
Okay, sir. So, what do you have to say about the end protest going on in time now in Nigeria?
Well, it's a very welcome development. We can't live in a country where there's impunity and extrajudicial killing. The police have to reform. the government has to reform and demilitarize the police. The police is not a force, or shouldn't be a force. All over the world, there's no force attached to the police. The police is the police. The armed forces are the armed forces. You see policemen, you see 5, 6, they carry assault weapons as their standard issue rifles. It's baffling and it's worrisome. We're not at war, we're not, why, and then the impunity and lack of accountability in the force. Mind the language of the force. It's very, very wrong. It's unprofessional. It is not global best practices.
Out in the numbers to check their names, different polling units. It's time to cast the ballot, after which some of the voters share their thoughts on the process.
So far, the process is credible, transparent, and peaceful, and we have not recorded any major incidents that could mar election. Our people are conducting themselves peacefully, and they are abiding with the law and procedure put down by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
While the turnout includes the young and the middle-aged, an elderly voter says the
warrant, they don't take it to the judge, they don't take it to the court.
As more developed than only time. Now, those implemented into electronic method. In those days, we had problems of you just put anyhow. You can put it into two places, 2 times. But this time around, we are very careful to handle.
Meanwhile, an official of the Independent National Electoral Commission is confident that all will work well.
So far, so good. I think the worst story I've heard in terms of the malfunction of beavers is in respect of elderly people that could not pass accreditation, either with the fingerprints or the facial. But because we are talking among ourselves, we have been able to also see how we can manipulate, the machine. So the elderly man that came out here was based on the advice I got from one of the national commissioners that we should take him out of the arena, and that has happened in many cases, and he simply passed the accreditation. APC, PDP.
As the voting exercise gives way to sorting and counting, all eyes will now be on the electoral umpire to deliver the result of the winner of the governorship election.
APC.
Dr. Hussein Abdul and Professor Mitala have been speaking with us. Let's get into another realm of the conversation. And before we get into the result, I'm sure our viewers what the results are so far have entered, because a lot of people are anxious. They just want to know who is getting what. That's the meat of the matter. Absolutely. But let's look at some other issues that are trailing this matter, and it's about the PVCs, because forget the registered voters, because it doesn't matter in the real election. It is how much of the permanent voter cards that has been collected. Osun State gets some kind of a thumbs up. I mean, in the league of other states, absolutely, over 70% of the voter, the rate of the collection of voter, the permanent voter cards. Prof, what do you make of this, of the mapping that we're getting? In the red is those local government areas below 70% of the PVC collected, and the one in the green is over 70% permanent voter collected.
Oh, thank you, sure. Overall, Osun State has had an impressive response to PVC collection, and we cannot go too far in looking for the reasons for this. One of those things that we mentioned earlier is the interest that people really have in this election. And of all the elections that we have in this country, we see that Osun State has always been very competitive. And so people feel that they really have to, their impact must be felt in this election. And that actually dragged people to collect PVC. And of course, the areas that are traditionally bigger area in terms of voters turnout, you could see that they have a lot of PVC collection rate. Again, another thing about the PVC collection rate is also that this time around, the youth are being told that they should leave the Twitter and come even to the mainstream. The elections are not won on Twitter, but elections are won on the field.
Someone was making a joke. He said, if you're playing politics on Twitter, it's a theoretical politics. You need to go and do the practical politics. Get off the Twitter on election day and come to the ground and be part of it.
Absolutely, and I want to join him in saying this is a very impressive one. You don't get this in many states, 70%. And if you check this map, only just about 4 local governments haven't been able to meet to collect up to 70% of the cost. That 70%. So I think very impressive, and this is something that other parts of this country should learn from. Yeah.
And so, for one of these local government areas, for example, is Elisha East, and of course you can see it gives you the total PVCs that have been collected makes 69%. The uncollected is huge in Elisha, and Elisha is one of a very densely populated voting-wise in Osun State, and the uncollected 23,000. It's a lot. It's 30% of what is left. Yeah. So if you look at Ife Central, for example, this is what we have. Ife Central is still huge, so it's 68% out of the 74,000, and 65% out of the 74,000, and of course you can see the uncollected PVC there, 38. There are 3 local governments in Ife Central, Ife East, and Ife North. Yeah, those 3 local governments, and it means a lot. Some parts of Ife at the swing local government area, some parts is a battle, and some battleground in Osun State. Ife is very, very important. We get into the mix of the analysis of what Ife means, what Oloruda means, and what Elisha and the other local government means. But let's look at another local government that is lagging in terms of PVC collection rate, and it's Ife North. Look at it there. Ife North gives you 37,000 total PVC available, collected rather. The uncollected is 20,000. Prof, why? I mean, Ife Central and Ife North falls in that category. What do you think may be responsible, sociologically? Sociologically. Any explanation to why Ife Central, Ife North?
Okay. When you look at it's possible for us to look at it, because you look at Ife That's where we have OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University. And so we could be looking at the issue on campus. One of the factors that is
majorly, INEC was counting the collection. It was largely in the last 2-3 weeks. And as you know, has been strike for the past month. So this could be, but it's a huge number. If the students were, could also give a reasonable turnout. Absolutely, if the students, it could give a reasonable turnout. It's a very weird community as university students, and they all are probably above, because the minimum age for university education is 16. So the majority of them will probably have passed the 18 years of age and probably have registered, and the turnout could increase. I think I'm not too conversant with the sociology of the state, but my impression of this state is that both Ilesha and Ife are urbanized part of this state, therefore may have
centers, and so you shouldn't hold somebody more than 24 hours. We've seen cases where people are being held for months and months, and then they disappear. Well documented. It shouldn't happen in the 21st century or any world. This used to happen in places like Argentina, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Here I mean in Uganda, not here. Nigerians are too informed. Nigerian youths are one of the most informed globally. They know what is happening on around the world. The youths of anywhere, intellectually, professionally, in everything, you find Nigerian youths excelling. Even the police we have issues with now. You see them go for peacekeeping missions in places like Yugoslavia and all these countries, and they come back with laurels. The same very police that we are complaining about, back home here, they revert to become something else. Our students that we say they are not good, they leave this country, they go to other universities outside Nigeria, Benin Republic, Ghana, the US, they become the best students there. What is wrong? The lecturers that we say that they are not good, they live here, they go to America, they go to the United Kingdom, they become the best there. So the problem is not the youth, the problem is not actually the police, the problem is the structure, the way things work here. Things must just change. Thank God the youth are woken up. And because they are awake now, you know, some of our leaders too are awake, or they are waking up. And the Nigerian youth is the giant of Africa. 1 in 4 black people is in Nigeria. 50% of Nigerian population are people 35 and below. So when we say 1 in 4 is in Nigeria, black person in the world, 2 are Nigerian. So for every 4 people you see in the world that are black Africans, 2 are Nigerian. So the time is right, and the time is right. And that change, you know, must of course come. I hope to see it in my lifetime. The real Nigeria, glorious Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir, before you leave, what do you have to say to the protest? You know, youth blocking roads. Do you think it is justifiable for this change that we are seeking? They blocking roads. Do you think it is justifiable?
Well, I've lived in this country since the 70s.
It's just about the 1, 2, 3, and 4 local government areas that hasn't been able to maximize. But put us through some of the local government areas with the highest voting population in Osun State. We might have an idea of a few of them, but give us an understanding, at least the top 5 local government areas with the highest voting population.
We thank you. For Osun State, we have Osogbo.
Which has the highest. At least
we
have 100,000 areas with the highest voting population. Followed by
Ejigbo. Osun State, we have Osogbo.
Which has the highest.
We have Ejigbo. We have Osogbo. Ejigbo. And we have Ifelo North. We have Ifelo also. We have Ejigbo. We have Osogbo. Of course, those are the.
We can also let us see those top 5 local areas with the highest voting population in Osun State, because
those are the.
We can also let us see those top 5 local officials with the highest voting population in Osun State, because this is where they put the soft. These are the time and those local government areas try to lobby in these voters in those areas. We want to focus on that in the one. You talked about them to campaign. They try to lobby which are the voters in those areas. And the fourth in the spoke about the one. You talked about Osogbo. You talked about which are the local government. So we have Osogbo, we have Ejigbo. We have Elebodun. You spoke about the Fellow. What about Elisha? Is Elisha fine? So we have Osogbo and your Ejigbo. We have the record. I think the word too is. What about Elisha? Is Elisha big 5? Absolutely. Like in the Nigerian election, you talk about Lagos. I think the word too is. Like in the Nigerian election, you talk about Lagos. Talk about Lagos. We have a big 5. Osogbo, Ejigbo, Iwo, Lagos. Along those are the big 5. We have the big 5. So Osogbo, Ejigbo, along that is going on. So far, as far as in this election is concerned, so that we're seeing, and maybe put in all of the voting because going on. What eventually this gives us a sense what full trend that we're seeing and how far we have come in all of the voting. Because so these are the results. This gives us a sense. This map that the green is the PDP, yes, I think. So this is the results. The red is right now. This map is the map. The red is the APC. The green PDP is the green, and it's showing those who are perhaps in the lead. The red is so if you look at it, for example, in Osogbo, the red is the trend. PDP is the green, and showing those who are perhaps in the lead. So is what you get. If you look at it, for example, on the results, so for that is a trend as entered as we have it right now. The total registered voter. So this is what you get. Osogbo.
watching and be looking at how we
not a
progress
reflection
of
the entire.
this is what we have counted, but
so far this is
trickling
what
in, and we will be watching and looking at how we progress in this is what we have.
I showed you so far this is what analysis the parties have done. So far the red is the APC, the green is the PDP. It is changing, it will change, and it may not be static. The trend because the results are not totally the red is the APC, the green is the PDP. If the results have been entered on the dashboard, and it may not be static. Another local government that the results are not totally is entered. So let's showing you the progression. For example, the results have been entered on the dashboard is concerned. Another local government that voting, we're looking at the voter register is Ejigo. So let's look at it. So you can see Ejigo, for example, the trend of is 73,000. The political parties, voter don't forget, in Ejigo. So you can see also the trend of. Now let's look at another local government. The political party in this election. Don't forget, a lot of it is color marking. The PDP in green, the APC is also in the red. Now let's look at another local government top 5. It's going to be very important in this election. A lot of it is voting population. Possibility there is also we'll go into the PVCs collected in that area. Top 5. Look at it. That is the 90,000 voting percentage of the political parties are the leader. We'll go into the PVCs collected in that area. Look at it. For those anyone who wants to win this election, look at the percentage of the political parties as the leader.
This election we have.
How significant is Iwo? For those anyone who wants to win this election, Iwo is important.
The way the local government, this election we have the way it is. For instance, in two categories of normally the way the local government is one of the big votes. And so the way it is any political actors who want to concentrate on that. Normally, normally, traditionally, is one of the big is always a battleground for any political actors who want to begin to see that on that. The parties are really doing their own normally, traditionally that they are not leaving any stone unturned for even the parties or the traditional. We begin to see that the parties linked to one party or the other. So from what you are showing that they are not leaving any stone unturned. The parties even for actually the traditional they are not leaving things that are linked to one party or the other. So from what you have seen so far, you could see that the parties are actually they are not leaving things so they are really involved.
Things will change. So you see, it's becoming head-to-head until the very last moment when all the results are totally the situation is right now. Things will change. There will not be party until the very last moment when all the results are totally coming. Iwo is also significant in this game. It has a very huge voting population as far as I will go there now, which is the voting population is significant in the scheme of things. It has a very huge voting population as far as the trend, the voting population is concerned. I just hope that this comes up. Let's go to other local government areas. For example, if a central. So there you have it. If a central, 113,000. If a central, I think is maybe the local government areas. For example, if a largest voting population. So there you have it. Look at it there. And look at the proportion. You remember what happened in Ife is maybe the second largest voting population in Osun State. Look at it there. And look at the progression. If the election came to Ife in 2000, the winner was not able to be determined. Ife became a background, the drama that played out in 2018. Because the election came to a state, the winner was not able to be determined. Give us a background, the drama that played out in 2018.
Thank you. 2018, we have the incumbent PDP candidate on the ballot to this election. Senator Ademola on the ballot for SDP. Then we have, at the end of the day, the first round, PDP candidate have a situation where to this election we did not have a clear winner. And the reason for that is that the votes are at the end of the day, we have the votes, we have a situation whereby we did not have a clear winner. The reason for that is that we are between the two representatives. We have a total number that the leading the difference for the run of election we are between the two. Transportation was one of the beginning ground for that runoff election. And of course, the leading and the winner, keenly contested a runoff election. So the alignment, which was one of the declaration of that runoff election, and of course, we saw some kind of realignment. The alignment in APC actually changed the declaration national. And so APR time played we saw some kind of realignment. How much of a role in the APC, not just in APC, is the executive of national and so things also played a significant role. This will change. It is not started like it said, but if APC and the PDP performance so far of things based on the results so far, this will change. Absolutely. And I think what we have seen, the trend across APC and the PDP look at their proven to be a very keenly contested election. And like you say, and I think what we have seen, the trends across is that this is the results proven to be a very keenly contested election. And like you say, we'll be seeing some tweets and more results as the results begin to fill in. Because normally the way elections run, sometimes just a few thousand their strongholds, and therefore they are more to do well in such locations, and they begin to fill. When they are not, normally the way elections run is sometimes a different signal, and that's very important for us to do well in such locations. And when they are not, then it sends a different signal, and that's very important for us to understand. Because if a central, like you said, there are traditional strongholds. Local government areas are going to be very traditional PDP, because local government areas, the stronghold of each of the political parties, based on there are traditional political links and all of that. But local government area and the traditional PDP, local government areas, the stronghold of like I said, the political parties, based on their background, traditional stronghold is not working. But even at least from what you have seen, from what you have seen, like I said, that this is not this idea of traditional stronghold is not working. But from what you at least from what you have seen, clearly contested election, the strongholds are getting this message. At least for that, this is not the totality. No one can call just yet. No one can announce. No one can declare. The strongholds are getting message. If I can use that word, at least for that. It's too early to call. No one can call. No one can announce. No one can declare. And Professor Mitala, do stay with me, everyone, because we take a break. And when we come back, we dig deeper into how the political parties who is getting what. And Professor Mitala, do stay with me, everyone, because we take a break. And when we come back, we dig deeper into how the political parties are performing. Who is getting what? What results are coming so far? And we keep our eyes on the results that we can aggregate and how many of the results can move forward. You also
Osun State for the governorship election gets off to an early start.
Ubiquitous.
The voting exercise in Osun State for the governorship election gets off to an early start. Across the state, residents come out in their large numbers to check their names at the different polling units. In various areas across the state, residents come out in their large numbers to check their names, some of the voters share their polling units on the process. It's time to cast the ballot, after which some of the voters share their thoughts on the process.
And we have not recorded any major incidents. So far, the process is credible, conducting themselves transparent and peacefully, and they have not abiding with the law and procedure major incident that could mar independent national electoral people are conducting themselves peacefully.
While the turnout includes the young and the middle-aged, an elderly voter says the exercise has been calm. While the turnout includes the young and the middle-aged, an elder voter says the exercise has been calm.
I said that more somebody than who is performing well, and implemented into electronic method. In olden days, we had problems. Now, you just vote anyhow, you can put it into electronic method. In olden days, we had very problems.
Meanwhile, an official of the Independent National Electoral Commission is confident that all will work well.
So far, so good. I think the worst story
Meanwhile, an official of the Independent National Electoral Commission is confident that all will work well.
It's in respect of elderly. I think the worst story that could not have passed accreditation in terms of either the finger malfunction of beaver or the facial is in respect of elderly. We are talking among ourselves that could not pass accreditation. We have been able to also either see how we can manipulate or the facial, the machine. But because we are talking among ourselves, man that came out here, we have been able to on the advice I got how we can manipulate one of the national commissioners that machine taking so out of the arena man that came out here, and that has happened in many cases. The advice I got simply passed the accreditation. One of the national commissioners that we should take him out of the arena.
As the voting exercise gives way to sorting and counting, all eyes will now be on the electoral umpire to deliver the result of the winner of the governorship election. As the voting exercise gives way to sorting and counting, all eyes will now be on the electoral umpire to deliver the result of the winner of the governorship election.